I'm from Philadelphia, and I went to Temple University. When I finished there, I was a teacher of high school English in Camden, New Jersey. And basically teaching high school English to kids who weren't very interested in high school English. And I thought, this is a big mistake. And I had an uncle who was a manufacturer's rep. And he wanted me to go into business with him. And I was just about ready to do that when I got a notice from the placement office at Temple. And it was for a position at the Pennsylvania School for the Deaf. Now, Temple did not have very much in the way of special education, and I didn't know anything about it. I certainly knew nothing about deafness, and I had to try to think, had I ever met a deaf person? And I don't think at that time I really had. I've seen them, but I don't think I ever really met one and spent any time with one. So I went out to the School for the Deaf, and they did offer me a job, completely untrained. They paid to train me, almost to a master's, and it was a great experience. I loved it. And then I won a scholarship at Cal State Northridge to take a master's degree. And I took a master's degree in leadership in 7 months flat, start to finish. 30 units, whatever it was, comprehensive exams, and a thesis in 7 months flat. It was a great program. I loved it. And then I became a principal of a school for the deaf in the Los Angeles area. And then from 72 to 79, I went to Cal State Northridge as the assistant director of the National Center on Deafness. So that's my background in deafness. Then changed gears because I left CSUN from 79 to 83, did some consulting, came back in 83 to an office that handled all disabilities other than deafness. And so that's when I began to get involved in technology. Computers were coming out. I think the first time I had my hands on a computer was 83 when I came back to CSUN and began using one. And then I was administering a unit of support services for disabled students, that is, other than deafness. I was getting 2 frequent questions from the students, from their parents, from rehab counselors, and the questions centered around 2 issues. What are you doing for people who are learning disabled? And the answer was nothing. And what are you doing in the way of providing support to students with disabilities in the way of computers? And the answer was nothing. We had no computers, not one, in my center at that time. We didn't have one for administration, we didn't have one for the students, zip, nothing. In 85, we started the first CSUN conference, and it was on the campus of CSUN. We expected 200 people would come locally, and 600 people came from all over the world. And so here I'm running a computer conference, and we still don't have a computer, not a single computer, not one. And it never occurred to me that we should have computers because I'm running a conference. That was quite different than having computers. But I got so embarrassed by the fact that we had no computers at all. And people were coming up to me at this first conference in 85, and they're saying, what kind of computers do you have for the students? Do you have, I don't know if they called them Macs then, Apple IIes. Do you have the Apple IIes, or do you have the IBM? I don't know if they called them PCs yet. And we had nothing at all. So I got so embarrassed that I went out and raised about $300,000 for a nice computer center within our unit for students with disabilities. So that's how that all got started. So.